Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Santa Boot First podcast. Tonight, we got Marcus Grant, fantasy expert analysis from the NFL Network. We're going to chop it up with some of your fantasy questions. It's a big weekend for all you fantasy heads out there. And also, we got some guys in the room that are a little fired up over the whole Ben Simmons situation. Hang with us. You're listening to the Santa Boot First podcast.
From P-H-I-L-A period, P-A period. Eve, they hearing it, believe they fearing it, but loving it though.
Good evening, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us for another episode of the Santa Boot First podcast, coming to you live from beautiful downtown Willow Grove, from the lovely Crack Bell Production Studios. We got a new light in the studio here. Loving it. It's looking great. Things are coming along nicely in here. Real quick, thanks to our sponsor, InsurePhilly.com. For all your insurance needs, get up to 10 quotes in about 10 minutes. And keeping us hydrated, Pops McCann's Fine Whiskey. I'll do the intros, but everybody knows everybody. And we got a special guest coming on. I'm Jim. To my left is Deke. To his left is Schmitty. To his left is DJ. We got Andrew. We got the man behind the glass, Nate Moss, keeping us on the air.
You.
Without further ado, we've got Marcus Grant from the NFL Network. Marcus, we got you.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Good to be here.
Thanks for giving us some time. We know you're a busy man doing the NFL Fantasy Live. Let's get into it. I know these guys got some questions. I've got a list of questions, but we're just going to flow with it. All right.
Let's do it.
The first thing I want to know is when you get into a fantasy league with family and friends, do they put a handicap on you? Do they make you pick last? Do they make you pick starting in the 5th round? Do they allow you to play? Do they charge you more?
No, it's funny. They generally don't. Although I will say this, when I started this job, and this is my 11th season, like I sort of played. I played socially, but when my friends found out I got this job, I got more invitations to more fantasy leagues than I knew what I could do to do with. And I think that ends up being its own handicap, is that I think I play in probably too many leagues, and so it's hard to kind of keep up with them all. So that sort of is its own, it's its own barrier to being successful too much.
That was going to be one of my other questions. How many leagues do you get in generally each season?
So I always fail, right? Every year I do like 10 to 12, and I tell myself, like, I need to cut down, like, especially now that, like, I've got a son, he's 2.5, like, I got dad duties now, right? And so, like, I keep telling myself I should do fewer, except this year I think I'm in 15, and I think I still have a couple more. So, like, my attempts to limit myself have failed miserably.
Good effort.
I got a question.
Do you at least win any?
Oh, yeah. No, I win a couple every year. I feel like for me, and I think for most people, I think the goal is just to make the playoffs, right? Because once you get into the tournament, then really anything can happen. So it's really just about trying to make the tournament in most of them for me.
So, Marcus, I'm a gambler.
Okay.
I do a gambling podcast. I teach people about gambling. Did you gamble at your level, right? Because you're getting invited to different types of fantasy football leagues, right? Do players even play fantasy?
Some do. Yeah, some guys do. It's about, I wouldn't say 50-50, but I think it's growing more in clubhouses and locker rooms.
Okay. Do you play for money?
If Roger Goodell is listening, no. I am an upstanding employee of the National Football League, and I don't understand what that means.
Okay. Fair enough.
Pretty safe to say he's not listening.
Yeah. No, we're big. We're big.
Yeah, we're big time. Did you see that sign?
Yeah,
that's
Come on,
true.
man. Give us some love. Marcus is going to share this out afterwards, too. It's going to be hard.
All right, there you go.
So you play, and you said 14, 15 leagues. What's your favorite format for a league?
I'm kind of basic. I won't say I'm standard. I would prefer like a half point PPR sort of thing. I think I like the thing with 3 wide receivers, a couple of flex options. I don't mind having kickers. I appreciate kickers because it adds a level of randomness that I think makes it fun. I think having that randomness and that chaos allows more casual players to sort of play with more advanced players, just because there's always that wrench in the works that can happen every so often. So a half point PPR, 3 receivers, A couple of flexes. I think that's my speed right now.
The kicker position comes up every year in our leagues, and whether we're going to vote the kicker off the island or if we're going to keep the kicker. So far, the kicker has survived.
I know I'm swimming upstream on it. I know that kickers are sort of becoming extinct in fantasy football, but I'm doing my best to try to keep it alive.
Very good.
So put your money where your mouth is, Marcus. What round are you picking your first kicker?
It's still the last round. Like, I'm not crazy. I like him. I want him in the game, but I'm not. And even here's the thing: there's a lot of leagues where I don't even draft a kicker, where I'll go through the whole draft and I won't take a kicker, and then I will figure out, when we get to week 1, we get to that first Thursday or first Sunday. I'll look at the bottom of my roster, figure out which guys I don't think are going to be impactful, and then I'll drop them and I'll add a kicker just before that first week.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do the same thing.
You guys good?
There's a question from the crowd, from Steve.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, so some comments coming in here, Marcus. Steve asked, 10th pick in the 10-man league, PPR, should I go back-to-back running backs or take running back receiver strategy?
I don't mind going 2 running backs in that situation, just because I think there are maybe 12 or so really quality running backs you can count on a weekly basis, and after that there's a pretty significant drop off. So I don't mind going with a couple of running backs. My other option that I'd suggest, though, get yourself a tight end early. Maybe Travis Kelce's still hanging around depending on how your league drafts, but if you can get yourself one of those top 3 tight ends, just because the position is so thin right now, I don't personally want the headache of trying to figure out matchups each and every week and playing the waiver wire for the tight end position. So if I can get like a Travis Kelce or a Darren Waller or George Kittle and just sort of set it and forget it at tight end, that's what I'd also consider.
We're on the tight end position and kind of a local guy, Kyle Pitts. He grew up in the area. What are your thoughts on him this year?
I think Kyle Pitts is going to be amazing. I think, though, right now people are drafting him higher than I'm a little bit comfortable with. He's coming off the board in a lot of leagues as the 4th tight end. And for me, that means you're sort of drafting him at what his ceiling can be. Now, I think we all believe that ceiling is pretty high. It's funny that every time we talk about Kyle Pitts, the word unicorn pops up in this whole thing. It's possible. It's very possible that Kyle Pitts could finish this year with, say, 65, 70 catches, about 800 yards, 6 or 8 touchdowns. That'd be a great year. And that probably does finish him in the top 5 among tight ends. But just the history of rookie tight ends shows that generally doesn't happen. So I think this time next year, we really are talking about him among the elites at the position. But this year, I'm a little bit more hesitant. I tend to be more of a skeptic, so I'm a little more hesitant.
Well, I took him in one of my leagues, so I hope he has a good year. And
I think he'll be. Look, I think he's going to be fine. Like I said, I think he's good enough to easily be a top 8 tight end. If he's not a top 8 tight end, something went seriously wrong. But I think people are drafting him to be maybe a top 4 tight end, and I'm not quite as gung ho about that.
Yeah, I have a question. It seems to be in both of my leagues. I don't know why, but Saquon and Zeke have both fallen. And Saquon actually went in the 2nd round in my one league. And I just want to know, do you have any idea as to why those 2 keep falling?
Well, with Saquon, and I did a mock draft this morning where he went in the 2nd round. I think with Saquon, it's a lot of things. It's one, his return from injury in the sense that the Giants have been very slow in bringing him back. And there was a point, maybe even a month ago, where Saquon himself didn't sound all that confident about it. And usually, the player is always the most confident about getting back to play. When he had reservations, that made me a little bit hesitant. I think there's just also questions about the Giants' offense as a whole, that offensive line and what that means. But I still have a hard time letting him get out of the 1st round, even with all that put in there. I think with Zeke, it's a little bit of the Cowboy offense is a lot more centered on Dak Prescott and the passing game, understandably. Part of it is because that defense is so bad. They're going to be in a lot of shootouts this year, and they're going to throw the ball a lot. Some of it is just that over the last few years, Zeke's efficiency has declined little by little, year by year. The number of touches he has every year goes down little by little. And now this year, Dallas is really talking about trying to get Tony Pollard a little bit more involved. But all that being said, again, I still have a hard time letting Zeke get out of, say, the top 8 or 10. And I think that's about where he's falling right now. He's sort of that late part of the 1st round. And I think that's okay. It's just you just sort of have to understand that maybe he's not going to be the guy that gets 300 touches or more like he has been in the past.
Right.
We got another question here, Marcus, from Lee Shakur out there. How do you view CEH this year?
I think he's going to be fine. I think the problem with Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year wasn't with him. It was with us. I think what happened was, we wanted the Chiefs first off to draft a running back, and they did. So we got super excited. Then you had a couple of guys opt out for COVID in that backfield. You had some injuries, and then we get, a few weeks before week 1, and suddenly CEH is the last man standing in that Chiefs backfield. And we got overexcited as analysts, and we started picking him in the middle of the middle of the first round. It was like that 5th pick, thinking he was going to be, Alvin Kamara 2.0. So when he wasn't, we all got disappointed. And I don't think he played badly last season. I think he was fine. This year now, I think it's overcorrected where people are afraid because he didn't live up to expectations last year. So now he's getting drafted in like the 3rd or 4th round. That feels something closer to right. He's got another year under his belt. I think he's going to get a bit of a bigger workload. And we want as many parts of the Chiefs offense as we can possibly get. So I think this year, folks who are getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the 3rd round are going to end up with a pretty good bargain.
I like it.
Hey, that's me.
Marcus, last year we had Justin Jefferson, right? Made a huge impact as a rookie, right? Probably did more than what any of us could think of. Looking at this year's draft class, who would you say the guy out there is going to be like the top point getter? Like running back, wide receiver, like where do you see somebody that is really going to perform well in fantasy that's in the rookie season?
I think. Well, first though, I didn't think folks in Philly like to talk about Justin Jefferson after. I
think he's leading you to an answer here, though, Marcus.
Yeah,
He's
he
looking for an answer.
He's trying to walk.
I wasn't going to bring him up because I figured that was kind of a sore spot, so I was going to leave it alone. But I think the rookie that's probably going to be the highest scorer this year is going to be Najee Harris. You're talking about arguably the best running back in that draft class, in a situation in Pittsburgh where there's no competition to take opportunities away from him. People keep saying, they keep using the Le'Veon Bell comparison. I don't think that's accurate. I think it's accurate in the sense of he's going to get that type of opportunity. I think they're very different players, but he's easily the guy I see among the rookies that's going to be the leader. I will say though that I like Devontae Smith a lot, and he's, of the rookie wide receivers, he's the guy that I've been targeting in a lot of drafts. He's available in like the 7th or 8th round. I think from the moment he was drafted, he was immediately the best receiver on that Philly roster. I think they're going to throw the ball a lot more than people are anticipating. So I see, at least 100 targets for Devontae Smith. I think he's just such a technician running routes, man. I think he's going to have a really good year.
So sticking with the Eagles,
I like to hear that.
Yeah, we love to hear that. From a fantasy perspective, it sounds like you're interested in Devontae outside of, I think the next obvious would be Miles Sanders. Any other Philly players that you might target or keep an eye on that would have a good season from a fantasy perspective?
Yeah, I like Jalen Hurts a lot. We like quarterbacks who can run with the football, and we know that he can do that. I think we're still waiting to see what he can fully be as a passer, but you go back, those last 4 starts he had at the end of the season last year. The only quarterback that had more rushing yards in that same stretch was Lamar Jackson. So that sort of gives you an idea of how effective he is running the ball. I believe that he can develop into a pretty good passer as well. So I like him a lot. If you're looking sort of late in drafts, kind of as a guy to take a flyer on, I like Kenneth Gainwell too. I know that they want to throw the football to their running backs a lot. And I know that, Sanders, as much as I like him, had some drops last year. He had some issues in the passing game. So Gainwell has looked good. Something about Memphis running backs, man. I don't know, man. We've seen Darrell Henderson. We've seen Antonio Gibson in Washington, and now Kenneth Gainwell could be the next one. So he's hanging around in those double-digit rounds, and he's a guy I've thrown a few darts at this year.
We got another question out there from Joe White. Who do you like as the best receiver option for Matt Jones in New England?
Probably Jacoby Myers. He's the guy that they seem to really be pumping up. He played well in the preseason. He had some nice games last year too, even though Cam Newton was kind of erratic at times, didn't throw the ball all that effectively. But what I've seen from Jacoby Myers, in the preseason is really sort of encouraging. So I think he's sort of the guy that I like there. Plus, I just like the fact that they once upon a time had Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, who was the law firm, but now that he's gone, Jacoby Myers, I think, slides in nicely to that law firm nickname.
Yeah. Are there?
I got a two-part question for you. You mentioned that you are in up to 15 leagues this year, I think you said.
Yeah, I think that's the number. I believe so.
I've been in as many as 4, maybe 5 in a season.
Mhm.
And I found myself, of course, it's only natural that you end up rooting against yourself because, you have players on different teams doing different things. Do you find yourself end up rooting against yourself? And also, another thing I used to do when I was in multiple leagues was once a team or two started to fade, I just kind of stopped paying attention to them. Just all I did was kind of make sure a lineup was set, but I really focused on those teams that had a chance at the end. Do you find yourself doing those same two things?
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask that last one first, but yeah, that's true. Like you get a team that's not playing well. It's not that you stop trying, but you probably do put in a little less effort, right?
Right.
You're not as diligent about checking the waiver wire. You're just making sure that you have a lineup set, and a lot of times it'll be Sunday morning. You're like, oh crap, this guy's on a bye. Like, let me fix that and figure that out. So yeah, that tends to happen, and you do spend more energy on the teams that are successful. As for the rooting against myself, what I have learned over the years between doing this for so long and having so many teams, I've stopped being a scoreboard watcher like on Sundays for sure. Where like I'll set my lineups, I'll set them on Thursday, I'll check them again on Sunday morning. And then I just tend to kind of be a bit of an impartial observer. I watch the games, I see who's playing well. I just sort of, I've learned to kind of appreciate big performances by whomever they are. And then, once the games are done on Sunday before the Sunday night game, I'll go and I'll check all my scores and see, who helped me, who might've killed me, what have you. But just to sort of prevent that kind of moment-to-moment heartache, I've just decided that once kickoff happens, I really don't bother with what the scores are. I'll check them later, and then that way I don't have to stress out.
Yeah.
So who are you not drafting this year? Who's out of 15 teams, 15 leagues? What's a player that you won't have on any of those leagues?
DeAndre Swift is a guy that I'm sort of avoiding.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
I went to the same high school as he did.
Nobody cares.
From the moment Anthony Lynn took over as offensive coordinator, he's been hyping up Jamal Williams, and I think Jamal Williams is going to get a pretty sizable workload there. I think especially in week 1, they're saying they're not even sure if Swift is going to be available, which sort of worries me. But I think they're going to get a pretty even workload. Jamal Williams is available, 6 or 7 rounds later than DeAndre Swift. But on top of that, the Lions are just going to be bad. Like I think that offense is going to be bad, which sort of caps his touchdown upside. There's just a lot of things about it that I'm worried about. I'm also staying away from pretty much any Houston Texan not named Brandon Cooks. Like Brandon Cooks is a guy that I'll give a shot to, but there are no other Houston Texans I have any interest in.
Another question out there from Joe White. Any other rookie running backs worth taking a pick this year?
I am #Team Javonte. Javonte Williams is going to be amazing. He is the guy that of all the rookies, he's the one that I had the most fun watching. And I always say, like, when I'm watching guys, like if you see a guy that you're not watching and he just keeps catching your eye, then that's something to pay attention to. And I was watching North Carolina and just trying to pay attention to some other players, but every time I kept coming back to Javonte Williams because he was just so exciting and explosive. And I don't think he's spectacular at any one thing, but he's really good at a lot of things. And all the buzz in Denver is that he could end up pushing Melvin Gordon aside as the starter sooner rather than later. So I've been drafting him in like the 5th round. Maybe he's not the starter in week 1, but I think by the time you get to the midpoint of the season, I think he's going to really take over in that backfield.
That's high, 5th round for him.
That's where, and I think a lot of it is this, all the analysts and the nerds like me who have gotten excited about Javonte Williams have pushed him up. So I think before he was going a little bit later, but as the buzz has continued, it definitely helped that Melvin Gordon was hurt in the preseason, and so Williams got a little more run. But yeah, that's kind of the going rate on Javonte Williams right now is a 5th round slot for him.
Right.
I'm a big believer this year in the Aaron Rodgers, and Devontae Adams kind of the
Connection.
screw you Green Bay final run through. I saw you had Devontae as number 5 in your top wide receivers. What are your feelings on Green Bay this year? And is Aaron going to get back to his MVP status? And I'm not a big Aaron fan, these guys know, but I still draft him when it comes to fantasy.
Yeah, so I'll say this. I had Devontae at 5 back when we weren't sure if Aaron Rodgers was going to play football or host Jeopardy, right? So now that we know that he's playing football, I've got him back as my number 1 receiver. And look, I still think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a top 6, top 8 quarterback. Last year is what I call the Aaron Rodgers petty party, right? It was like Aaron Rodgers just being upset that the Packers took another quarterback and really just trying to take it out on everybody else. And maybe we get that again, right? Like you got these dudes out on Instagram posting, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen last dance memes now, so like, I think they realize that this is probably their last go around together. And I think they do want to kind of wreck the league one more time. So, Devontae Adams is for me a first round pick in pretty much every format. I think Rodgers is the guy that you're getting probably in the 6th round. He should be coming off the board as a top 6, top 8 quarterback because nothing's changed in that offense. All the pieces are still the same. Everything's still the same. Aaron Rodgers still has that chip on his shoulder. So go get it. I think both those guys are going to be really successful this year.
It's petty.
One of the wide receivers this year that moved to Tennessee, Julio Jones, right? Like I took a shot on him last year and he kind of underwhelmed me. This year I took him again. Where do you see him like in terms with AJ Brown? Do you see him taking, a hit in terms of points and catches, or do you see Julio being the top wide receiver eventually in Tennessee? Like, what would you say his outlook is, and what round would you have drafted him in?
Well, I still think AJ Brown is the number 1 receiver in that offense, but both those guys are going to get the football. You don't trade for Julio Jones and not throw him the football. That's going to be the thing there. And as a new offensive coordinator as well. So they may be a little bit more pass heavy than they were before. I think it works out for everybody though, right? Because if you're a defense, where do you focus all your energy? Do you spend a lot of energy trying to stop AJ Brown? Do you try to stop Julio Jones? You can't load the box, right? And try to stop Derrick Henry because then they're going to throw the football on you. So it really is a pick your poison situation. And I know Julio was sort of frustrating at times, but this is a guy who still averaged, I think about 15, 16 fantasy points per game when he was on the field. The issue was he missed a handful of games last year, and that made it difficult. But I think he's still worth drafting. Sort of in that mid-round range. I mean, I think AJ Brown right now is getting drafted in like the 2nd round or so. I think Julio's maybe a couple of rounds after that. But maybe he's not the consensus top tier wide receiver that he once was, but he's still a legit fringe wide receiver 1, solid wide receiver 2. And I think whoever drafts him is going to get a pretty good guy there.
It's Julio.
Yeah,
it's Julio, man.
Right, like it's Julio. I looked at his numbers because we had this conversation about Julio not too long ago, and I looked at his numbers. It was only last year. When you look at it, it was last year, and then I think his 2nd year were the 2 lowest of his careers. Now he never scores a lot of touchdowns, but he'll get you catches and 1,200 yards in his sleep.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, I think we'll go out with one more question here. We know you're a busy man, especially this time of season, and let you get back and have some family time. In all your years of playing fantasy, is there one universal truth in fantasy? Like we talked about, wait on your kicker. Don't draft a quarterback before X round. What's the one universal truth that you've seen year over year that stands?
I think the one universal truth, and this is going to sound sort of like a cop-out, is that you just never really know. I think there's always going to be that surprise. There's going to be that guy that kind of comes out of nowhere. And the person in your league that identifies that player first is going to have the most success. And I think last year of guys like James Robinson, right, in Jacksonville, nobody knew James Robinson at the start of the year, ended up being great. Nobody expected Justin Herbert to step in and do what he did. I mean, like the Chargers literally threw him in the deep end of the pool, right? I mean, minutes before a game against the Kansas City Chiefs, Tyrod Taylor goes down. The Chargers say, "Here, rookie, go start against the defending champions. Go get it." And he goes out and he plays well. They lose that game, but Herbert plays well, and then he has an amazing season. So it really is just about sort of being open to taking a chance on guys that, maybe you weren't pegging to have a good season, because somebody's going to find literally that hidden gem somewhere, and usually that's a big difference in somebody winning or losing a championship.
Very sage advice.
Mhm.
Solid.
Definitely.
Ain't nobody take no notes. Don't nobody got no paper. You got- terrible.
I keep it up
You
in
get
their
this.
minds.
You
Yo.
get this man's time, right?
All up here, Dave. We can watch it
Oh,
back. We
okay,
can rewatch.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's replayability. I'm
Prep
sorry.
guys take mental notes,
Ah, shut up.
copious mental notes.
So Marcus, he went to the prep in like 1920, right? And I'm a younger guy, so I went to LaSalle. So we always just butt heads. Like it's just ridiculous.
I understand, man. Like I work with Maurice Jones-Drew. I went to USC. He's a UCLA guy, so it's constant, man.
Yeah.
It's constant.
Yeah, it never
Right.
stops. It don't matter.
It
I was
never
going
is.
to ask you who your favorite USC receiver is, Juju or Nelson. But I don't want to put you on the spot.
What the favorite that's currently playing in the league?
Yeah, current in the league.
It might be. It's probably Juju, just because like I don't buy a lot of jerseys, but I do have a USC number 9 jersey, and that was Juju's number when he played there. So I guess it's currently him. But if you want a deep sleeper, by the way, I'll give you Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a USC guy playing in Detroit. Could end up being their starting slot receiver. Might sort of be Cooper Kupp 2.0 for Jared Goff there in Detroit.
Good call.
Marcus, before you go, we got one last question. I don't mean to keep
Yep.
you here. Thoughts on Josh Allen? Can he replicate what he did last year?
Yeah, Josh Allen's going to be fine. We knew he could run. He's been the de facto goal line back for Buffalo the last couple of years, and then sort of proved everybody wrong that he could be an efficient passer last year. So I think things are full speed ahead for Josh Allen.
Sounds good.
All right. Marcus, as you can see, his Twitter handle's up there at Marcus G. Also, find him on TikTok. I love your videos you're doing on
Thanks.
following you there.
I got to keep up with the kids, man. I had to learn how to do this TikTok thing.
Got to keep up with the kids. And hey, they're informative. So anybody that's drafting this weekend, get ready. Make sure go into your drafts prepared.
Mhm.
Right. The one thing I would say that we learned from this year, the later you draft is probably the better with the injuries and the trades and the guys that were cut. But follow Marcus. Marcus, you can find him on NFL Network too, at NFL Fantasy Live. Really appreciate you giving us some time. Anything else you want to promote while you're on here?
No, I just said, we got the show. It's 5 days a week, 6 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network, and then our podcast a couple times a week, the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast, wherever you get your fine podcasts.
Fantastic. Thanks,
Awesome.
Marcus. We really appreciate it.
Cool.
Maybe we'll talk to you later in the season.
Take care. Be good, guys.
Okay?
All right. Thanks.
All right, guys. I think a good time. We'll take a quick break. Digest this fantasy info. We got some Eagles cuts to talk about. And we got some Ben Simmons venom to be spilled. So thanks for hanging out with us. Hope you enjoyed Marcus being on here with us, all you fantasy football players. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. You're listening to the Santa Boo First Podcast. InsurePhilly.com. We comparison shop all the time. Can I get this cheaper on Amazon? What will the store brand save me? Should I get a second estimate on this remodel? So why not do that for your insurance needs? Better yet, why not have someone comparison shop for you? At InsurePhilly.com, you can get up to 10 quotes in about 10 minutes with top insurance carriers like Progressive, Travelers, Nationwide, Selective, Liberty Mutual, Encompass, Kemper, and Berkshire Hathaway. Owner-agent Matt Maloney provides top national carriers with top local service. Just go to InsurePhilly.com to get your quote online or call Matt at 215-300-9590. For all your insurance needs, auto, home, life, business, and Medicare insurance plans, make sure to go to InsurePhilly.com today or call 215-300-9590. Matt Maloney gives you the national carriers you recognize from a local company you can trust. InsurePhilly.com.
Clean, sir.
We are back. Another episode of the Santa Boot First Podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry, hang with us as we recuperate from our quick break. It was kind of flying by the seat of our pants as we got in here. I do want to say to all the folks in the area with the storms, and hopefully everybody's safe and not too much damage. And it was crazy what happened. Like roads are still shut and
Schools are closed.
schools are closing. So all of our friends, family, listeners, everybody out there, we hope you're safe. And not to use this as a plug for our guy, Matt Maloney, but honestly, I have a brother-in-law that's in insurance, and he said start looking into flood insurance. adding it to your homeowners because apparently the water plates or whatever they're called around here are rising, and flooding, as we all know, with this summer has been becoming more and more of an issue, and it's crazy. We got rivers going down Vine Street right now.
I got a question. When did the Delaware Valley become Tornado Alley?
I've been saying that as well. It's just
How long? When did you come up with that today?
This morning on the way to work.
You've been thinking about that all day.
You've been waiting for the right
It's just
opportunity
like,
to use that
oh,
line.
This is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, he knows. You saw it.
That's the biggest dad.
Am I
thing to
wrong?
do. No,
Am I wrong?
I will give you credit where credit is due.
Thank
that
you.
was good.
That's all you need to say.
But that was
Go
the
back
bi-
to stuff in your pie
that
hole.
was the biggest dad thing to say.
he was waiting. You could see it.
Yeah.
The whole time Marcus was on. He wanted to spit it out.
I wouldn't go that far.
Thank you.
Sitting in traffic on the way home, yeah, maybe, but not waiting on Marcus.
Thank you to our sponsor, InsurePhilly.com. Up to 10 quotes in about 10 minutes. Thank you to Matt Maloney and the NPM agency. And thanks to Jay Pops McCann's Whiskey. All right, boys. That was great with Marcus. We're going to try to do that throughout the season. We're just going to start having some guests, and we got somebody lined up for next week.
Yep.
Are we going to put it out there, or do we wait?
Yeah,
Leave it
we
as a
can
surprise?
put it- you
He
can put it out there.
He leaked it like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
That was 2 weeks ago. Everybody forgot.
Yeah, he still leaked it though.
You leaker.
Okay, go ahead, Schmitty. This is your get.
Next week we're gonna have Jordan Spector on. Nice artist does a bunch of different prints, but his most recent Eagles print. We're excited to hear about just his journey. And all the wonderful work that he does, artwork and things that he does in the community. So, Jordan, we're looking forward to having you on the podcast next week.
Yeah, it'll be fun. He
Yeah, for
definitely
sure.
has some nice artwork.
And he'll be joining us live in the studio. So,
Not being an LSU fan or a Bengals fan, his Joe Burrow piece that he did is really cool. If nobody's ever seen it, he's like
Drew Brees.
sitting there with the cigar, and he's got the trophies around him. And the Drew Brees is nice. It sounds like he's working. He's teased a new piece that looks like it might be Devontae.
Yeah, something with the Slim Reaper. So
Yeah,
you
he's
guys
got
have
some-
to figure it out
He's got some
I saw
posts
that.
out there on his social, so it'll be cool to have him in.
for sure.
And we'll be looking. We're going to get some of our normal friends in here as the season goes on, but we're going to be looking to bring in some other interesting guests. Maybe guys who can crunch a pizza crust in a
I was just
microphone
gonna say,
for us.
like,
Yeah, I know. I was about to say, what the hell was
They're
that?
just stuff in our faces. Look, it was a rush to get here.
We'll have to. I'm going to play this video for Mama Mia's Pizza and see
Yeah, I
how
was
good
gonna
your
say.
pizza is. These guys are
No.
they're not even. They don't even care about the talking right now. Normally, you can't get Deke to shut up, and he hasn't said a word other than Tornado Alley.
He's trying to come up with a good saying in his head. What's the
Delaware
next-
Valley to Tornado Alley.
All right, Eagles roster. Any surprise cuts? I have a couple.
I think there's a couple for everybody.
Yeah, I think there is a couple.
Right off the bat, Fulgham.
Fulgham
For
and
me,
Hightower.
Fulgham's back on the practice
back
team.
on the
I
practice.
did see that him and Hightower are back on the practice squad, but Howard
Jordan
surprised me as well. I thought I thought they were going to carry 4 running backs just because of the injuries. You never know, but I was mostly surprised with Fulgham. I didn't understand that,
No,
especially with the wide receivers that we have.
I get Quez has had a good preseason,
Yeah.
and he deserved a spot. But I agree with you. I think the running backs are thin. I think the receivers are thin.
You guys are forgetting about JJ breakout season.
That's why is he there?
I think
Yeah.
it's because Fulgham fell off after a
Did he
couple
fall
weeks
off,
last
or
year
Did he
was
fall
it
off or he
Jeffrey?
didn't get a chance to
Yeah,
play?
was it Jeffrey coming
He didn't
back?
get a chance to
because he
play.
was falling off.
No, because Alshon Jeffrey came back.
He's the number 1 receiver in the
that's
league
true.
for 5 weeks.
It's not like
You just
Alshon
don't
came
fall
over
off.
and it's not like Alshon.
He was the number 1 receiver for 5 weeks based off of the first 2 weeks because he had
He's
so
wrong.
much production the first 2
All right,
weeks.
let's not look at that. Face value, JJ or Fulgham.
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 Right. I don't need to argue then.
I'm gonna go
But
with the
JJ was a higher draft pick and probably
right.
making more money.
Howie doesn't want to make that mistake, which
I'll
is
take-
still. But
Don't tell Brody. I'll take Brody over
But-
JJ.
But I'll tell you what, like this Jordan Howard move, it surprised me. But we've talked about it. I think Kenneth Gainwell
He must be impressive.
I mean, if you saw him in the preseason, but I just think that Gainwell and Sanders and what's your boy Boston Sky? He shows up in the Giants games.
2 games a year.
Yeah, 2
He's gonna
games.
kill it.
He had a nice run in the Meadowlands in the
Yeah.
preseason.
still
He did
good
it for
fair-
you, Deke.
Fair kicks.
It is so funny. He's a giant killer.
He really
He is a
is.
giant
If you
killer.
look at his
And
numbers,
if that's all he is, that's good enough for me.
yeah, but it's 2 games. Like if you look at the numbers, it's astounding how just 2 games out of the year he's LaDainian Tomlinson,
Okay.
and the rest he's
Cool.
Boston
He's
Scott.
me.
Hopefully we see the Giants in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Out this year.
I know I said this last week, and like I really think we're getting a heavy dose of Sanders. I think that's why they haven't played him all preseason. I
I'll
think
tell
they're
you
keeping
what.
him in bubble wrap. I think he's going to be the horse. However, watch out for Kenneth Gainwell because he can line up all over the
Yeah,
field. He
and that's what makes him
reminds
so versatile.
Right, and
and
that's-
dangerous.
If you look where Sirianni came from, right? That's
Right,
what they
that's
did with
true.
Jordan, with
That's
Jonathan
true.
Taylor,
Yeah.
right.
and Naeem Hines.
And-
I mean,
and-
Hines was catching balls out of the backfield, and he was their scat back, if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
still use
agree.
that.
You're going to see some crazy stuff with
Well-
Sirianni. I still say that, like when I said he's a mad scientist, like you got Ertz and
You think
Goddard.
he's like another McVay?
I don't think he's a McVay, but I think he's going to exploit matchups, and I think they have like weapons all over the place. I really like Gainwell to line up split wide as a wide receiver. Guy can play. I also like the fact of this, and I think we would all agree. I think we're all excited with what Zach Ertz said yesterday. I can't
Absolutely,
be
yeah.
happier that we're going to be able to run a 12 personnel with two, in my opinion, still even Ertz had a down year. I'd still put him as a top 10 wide receiver in this league. Tight end in this league, and I think Dallas Goedert's the top 10, even though it's interesting that rumor yesterday that they talked about moving Dallas Goedert,
Well,
right?
I mean, if you're Minnesota, you just lost your starting
I
tight
mean,
end.
if
You're going to
you're
look
desperate.
around the league.
Listen, if Minnesota would gave us a first or second, I think you do it, and you give Ertz 2 or 3 years.
I
would've.
I don't want to trade Goddard. I think he's too.
I'm
it's too
not
early
saying I
in the
want to,
career.
but if a team's
No,
going to
I get
overpay,
it. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they did with Bradford,
I was going
right?
to say, it was like the
You
Bradford
know,
situation.
I just think Goddard has too much upside. But going back to the running back situation,
right?
I think if the Eagles are smart, not that they run Sanders into the ground this year, but he's coming up on a contract year, so you want to see if if he's really worth the money. If you're going to pay him, that's another thing. If you're going to pay him,
Yeah.
so
right.
you do everything you can in this offense with him this year to see if he's going to be worth it.
And I agree with you on that point that it's like kind of like a put up or shut up year for Sanders. But I also think that also goes hand in hand with how Jalen Hurts performs, right? If Jalen Hurts does not perform well this year and you have to go out and you have to trade for a veteran, quarterback, or you have to go out and spend a lot of money, then that takes a lot of the money that you have. If Jalen Hurts is really good, then you can surround him. You can give
Exactly,
Miles
yeah.
Sanders money. You can pay all these guys to extension. So, like, that's one of the reasons why, like, I know I'm a team Jalen Hurts fan club, and I'm glad that Marcus said he's going to be good too. But, like, that's the best case scenario for the Eagles. If Jalen Hurts proves that he can be the starting quarterback, that's how you win Super Bowls in this league. And I'm not saying Jalen Hurts wins the Super Bowl, but the Eagles won a Super Bowl that year because they had Carson Wentz under a rookie contract, and they could surround the rest of the team with talent.
If this young nucleus can be what we expect, they don't need to blow the doors off anybody over the next few years. But if they're good enough,
right,
they're cheap, then you can pay the guys like Sanders. You're going to have to pay Mailata, right? And then you're going to have to focus on that line. But the receivers don't need to be paid for another 3 years.
If Steven Nelson performs, you're going to pay him, right? Because he's on
you
the
look,
one year
like
deal.
you said, Jim, the young nucleus. You have the right pieces.
Yeah.
You have a good starting
You got
tight
your
end.
position players.
You got your wide receiver core,
right?
And you have a solid running back,
right?
And your offensive line, if it stays healthy, one of the best in the league.
I think you were about to say the Eagles potentially could be a very good offensive team, and I agree with that. It hinges on two things, those two things are Jalen Hurts and the offensive line.
I agree with that.
And Jalen Hurts hinges on the offensive line.
Yeah.
If he progresses throughout the course of the season, it's because the offensive line has stayed together and on the field. They're a veteran offensive line. They're a very good offensive line when they're all on the field at the same time. If we have to go to subs, that's where it gets dicey. But I think if the vets can stay together, they I think are one of the top offensive lines in the NFL. If they stay together, stay healthy, stay on the field, I think Jalen Hurts will make a lot of progress through the course of the season, and I think the Eagles' offense will be very productive.
If this is a big if, obviously, if this O-line stays healthy, first off, it's the best in the division.
For sure.
Yeah, it's one of the best in the NFL.
Right.
Forget the division.
Which then makes your offense arguably the best in the division, even with all the Cowboys star power.
Yeah. Now, yes. There's a lot. I think there's potentially a lot of talent on this offense.
The whole season rides on the offensive
The
line.
offensive line, absolutely, 100%.
Right.
Yeah, Jason Kelsey, he's one of the best centers in the league.
Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks is one of the best guards.
Start in the middle and go out and all the way to the tackles on each end. They're across the board one of the best lines in the NFL.
Mailata's a stud. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a stud. He's a stud.
It used to be, Jim, you used to say it all the time. Just give the ball to the running back and have him go run behind Johnson, Johnson and Brooks on the right side. But now Mailata, if he's a stud, now we can go that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if Hurts gets time to throw, I mean, I think he'll make plays, right? And I love the speed that this team has. Like Devontae Smith has speed.
The Chiefs
Rager has speed. Yeah. Quez Watkins has speed.
JJ, not so much.
JJ does not.
He's a red zone threat.
But like,
so there are positions though where like we've talked about the offensive line. The depth I'm looking at there, like we have no backup guards unless you can convince Dillard to be a guard. Driscoll, but didn't Driscoll just get put on the IR?
You also
I thought
for the season. Or that partial.
I think Dickerson just step in and play guard.
He's played all five positions.
Exactly. And like, here's one part, and now that's kind of the defensive side of the ball. If they stay healthy, that secondary is very good with Nelson and Slay. I mean, I don't know about Avonte Maddox as a slot corner, but their safeties are decent. McLeod,
they're
right, and Anthony Harris, right. I think it's
a better secondary.
It is a better secondary. Linebackers. I mean. But Eric Wilson,
it can't get much worse. So only goes up from here.
I mean, defensive line, like they, again, we're hinging on a third-round pick, but Milton Williams, like they're,
you guys are killing me. You hit the light,
and you have
the atmosphere.
You have an aggressive defensive coordinator, Gannon, who's willing to blitz.
No, so is it unplugged on behind you? On the other plug?
I think Teak unplugged it.
No. The other side, Smitty.
This side.
Yeah, the other side. Right, is it plugged? Is it unplugged?
Hold on, I got it. I'll work on it, fellas. You guys have a show.
Continue to talk.
You're the installer on the team.
Yeah, I agree with Brian though. He just said Mailata a stud. I don't think he's a stud. I like him, but I don't see anything that makes you think that he's a stud.
Are you? How's he not a? Wait, hold on.
I think he can.
Hold on. How's he not a stud? He gave up 1 sack and he played 11 or 12 games last year.
No, he didn't play out.
Yeah, dude. Peters, yes,
he played
did.
more. Yeah,
yes.
I don't know if he played 12, but
and he gave up 1 sack or no sacks. He manhandled some of the guys, including Chase Young.
I know he did well against Chase Young, but I'm not sure we can crown him a stud. Right, you're talking about, what I mean, when you say stud, we're talking about one of the best left tackles in the league.
Have you guys watched me? Like, look what he did last year.
He's the starting tackle for this team.
Right.
I'm not saying. I don't know if I'm ready to, like Nate said, I don't know if I'm ready to crown him a stud.
Like a stud is Lane Johnson.
Maybe he's a stud because he's young, he's big.
Let's
remember how well he performed with how shitty that offensive line was and how all those injuries were.
Yeah, right? That wasn't hard to do though.
Yeah, you didn't know who was playing to the left of him.
I didn't even know the starting lineup, the starting offensive line sometimes because they rotated everybody.
And then you had a mobile quarterback too, right? It's not like someone was sitting there and just sitting in the pocket.
The quarterback,
Carson Wentz was mobile.
No,
yes.
That was 4 games.
Wentz is mobile. Wentz is definitely mobile.
Yeah, I agree. Wentz has mobility. He does.
Is he a statue? No. Is he Mike Vick? No, but he can move.
Yes.
Jim, where's the swear jar?
Oh, I do have the swear jar.
What's the swear jar for Wentz?
Oh, for Wentz and
for Wentz, yeah.
The other guy tonight. That thing's going to be overflowing soon.
We talking about that's got $1 in here.
Who mentioned Wentz?
I see 3.
It might have been Smith. I don't know.
It was you.
Did I?
I don't know. I'm just gonna tell you it was you.
You said that they're gonna run Miles into the ground. I'm getting back to the depth. Just looking at who they kept and who is gone. If they run Miles into the ground,
I don't think.
Theoretically,
you got Boston and Kenny Gainwell. Now I don't think this isn't the final roster. They got a whole week to. Somebody's going to get cut. Somebody's going to get picked up.
And
somebody's going to get other players added.
Yeah. And Jordan Howard could very well be. He's on our practice
He's
squad.
on the practice squad.
So he could very well be called up week 2 if somebody doesn't perform well.
Think
Or
there's
if someone's hurt.
you think there's any more trades coming? You think there could be like a sneaky get rid of Dillard,
I wouldn't be
Trade,
surprised.
I don't know what
it's
Dillard's
Howie.
good.
trade Barnett?
It is Howie.
I mean, these
Trade
are,
Barnett for what?
I don't know. These are
Yeah, but
it
I
just
wanna
always
see
seems
what-
there's like a little trade. I did the
I wanna see
Matt
Barnett.
Pryor trade.
I didn't
I'd
like
to have.
that. I don't care. I didn't really care. I mean,
Yeah, but that's what I'm
Matt
saying.
Pryor stinks, but why did we have, like you said, Jim, in our group chat, why did we have to throw in another pick?
Yeah,
I don't
You
understand that.
almost said it, DJ.
I know I
think
did.
we can trade JJ down to Miami with
Please.
Mac Hollins.
You trade JJ for a couple of, I don't care, bag of balls,
Bag of
and,
balls.
a
Is
couple
it a
of,
razor?
It was a great
A
catch.
razor,
Great
yeah.
catch he had in the Meadowlands.
that was
Maybe
amazing.
this year he'll Sanders will fumble and he'll pick one up in the end zone. That'll be his touchdown.
That's what he did last year.
Right?
All right, Flan did chime in. Flan, I just want to let you know that we ran your team by Marcus Grant, NFL expert, and he said your team is garbage. It's a
I'm
dumpster fire. Start trading players now. I'll talk to
think
you when I
he-
get
I
home.
think
I
he
got
held up
players
a
I
trash
can
can.
trade.
not only
didn't he?
that, but Flan's comments, your comments don't count till you come in the studio. Right?
Oh,
Smitty taking shots.
That's from our earlier conversation, I think,
But
about
the Colt.
the Colt. We
Penn
call it the
State
Colt.
Colt. We'll be in here Thursday. I'm not ready to do the final predictions. I think we'll do that next week for the season. Right? We did our preseason
Even
predictions.
though we've already said it
And
like
what
5
is-
different shows.
What did we say? We were like, what did we end up like 10-7 or something?
I think we had them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
we might think.
yeah.
playing
we
the
all-
Browns, right?
Before the
I don't
show,
know.
we all
I
had
don't
him
know.
at 6 or
I
7
might have-
wins. At the end of the show, we
It
had
was
him with
like
11 or
11.
12.
Listen, I might have to change that prediction after the Cowboys' huge pickup this week and Corey Clement hasn't made an impact since 2018. But Cowboys fans think he's gonna spell Zeke Elliott this year. So shout out to Dallas.
I did.
Clement is on Dallas now?
Yeah, they picked
Yeah.
him up.
But
Really?
he hasn't done anything since 2018.
He had one good game, the
Right.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I'll take it.
That's exactly.
I do like that Marcus made the comment that Dallas's defense is horrible. He might not have said horrible, but he said they're bad and they're going to
You'd
be in
say horrible.
shootouts.
They all
I
changed their
like that.
number to single digits today. So,
that
get
makes
excited.
that changes their mentality.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, Flan said he's in next week, Smitty.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So we can talk
AB.
about that big Penn State win against Wisconsin.
Gracing
Plan.
us with his presence next week.
Yes.
It's always a treat when AB's in.
He,
It is.
he,
It's
he
always
did
a
ask
treat.
if he is on the network overnight, and I said he's on the
He's
network,
prime time.
but I didn't know about overnight. So
He may be
there's your
overnight,
answer.
too.
He's on prime time there,
But-
Flan.
NFL Fantasy Live, he's on prime time. And I don't know if they
I
do.
think he said 5.
I was going to ask him if they get into a studio and they all watch
Six.
the games together. Like on Sundays, I'm not sure if they they have the red zone and all that.
Yeah.
If he's involved
That'll
in that,
be
or
great.
not.
We'll have AB and Jordan Spector in studio
Oh,
next week.
Oh,
Boy,
man. That's right.
wow. Special guests
We,
galore.
we better have a
It
couple
must be,
bottles of pop,
it must
full
be
bottles of
opening
pops.
week. It must be opening week.
And I
Having a
did.
big show.
My dad said he would come in.
Nice.
He
Oh,
confirmed
yeah?
that. Brody had been poking at him. He was like,
Ah.
"Poppy, you make comments every week. Why don't you go in?" He said, "I'll go in."
I'm
man.
curious to hear AB's season prediction.
It'd be nice
next
to
week
have
for the
somebody
Eagles.
with me on the other side of 50.
Somebody older than you.
Jesus.
The other side is 65.
That's not me. And don't talk about Mr. Marcus like that.
All right, talking about old people and old topics. Ben Simmons, what are we doing with Ben? Where's Ben going?
We're going to Ben before we talk about the hottest team in the city.
The Phils?
We're the Fighting Phils
They're
are one and a half games back.
Yeah.
Last week we put them to death. I mean, they went tonight. What are they? A game out?
No, they already did win.
One and a
No,
half.
they have. Don't they have another?
It's-
tonight?
no,
Oh,
it's-
it wasn't.
It's one and a double
Okay, so
header.
they're 1.5.
Yeah.
1.5 with three against the Braves. Don't coming up?
Yeah, I mean,
Listen, anything can happen with that schedule. That's all I'm going to say. If
I
they continue
agree.
to take care of business,
they do have an easier schedule and it's favorable, but
and Marshawn,
season-
I like that kid.
this season they've just been so high and cold. It's just
It's a yo-yo.
It's hard to
They're
judge
pull
them.
me in, let me
Yeah,
go. Pull
even
me in, let me go.
even if
And I
they-
don't know if I'm ready to get back in.
Even if they don't make the playoffs, one thing that I think has been awesome is Bryce Harper has put this team
Oh, yeah.
on his back and carried him. And
He's-
if this carries that momentum in the next season, like this is what I wanted to see from Bryce, right? When you give
Absolutely.
him
It's
the money,
about
the
friggin'
leader.
time.
Now Aaron Nola
Oh,
out there,
God.
dude. put your freaking
Dude, why?
panties up
I
and
don't
pitch
understand.
right.
He's pitching to a AAA lineup.
Right, and he's still giving up
And
6
your
runs.
team is 2 games out, and you need to go out there and have a good
Right.
start, and he gives up, 6 runs today?
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude.
I'm
You're-
not
not
I don't
out
want
on
to say
him.
I'm done with Aaron
Yeah, I'm
Nola,
not
but
done
I
with him,
no
but
longer
I'm-
think he's an ace,
no, he's not.
and I
No.
no longer think he can be the workhorse of the
Nope.
rotation.
He's like a 3 or a 4 right now.
Now he is,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And
Right now-
Gibson's over him right now.
Aren't aces
Didn't
supposed
Gibson have
to
a good
get
start?
into the 6th, 7th, 8th inning
Yeah.
every time
He's
out?
not an ace. So
Right
only
now,
put Ace
if
and
they,
Nola
if
in
they
the
were to
same
make the playoffs,
conversation.
I
And
think
it-
the rotation is Wheeler, Gibson, and Nola.
Yeah,
And
I
Matt
mean,
Moore.
Nola's fallen off. bad.
Wheeler's kind of fallen off a little bit too.
Don't forget about Matt Moore.
Uh,
Or he had that one good game where he,
He was-
threw a
he was
no-hitter in the
hitless.
6th inning.
He was hitless into the 6th inning, and then they took him out.
So
it drives me nuts that
Freddie?
starters around baseball, not just the Phillies, but
Freddie,
starters
this
around
guy,
baseball,
This guy's a
don't
man crush on Freddie Galvis.
don't
He's played
get
well.
past the 6th inning.
What's he played? 2 games?
No, he's been playing. What's he been playing?
2.5?
Almost every game?
Who?
Freddie.
Freddie Galvis.
Yeah, he's been doing
Ever
fine.
since we traded for him, this guy's been.
I think
Freddie
he's
Galvis.
very
He's
good.
a great glove.
He is, but he has a whip.
He's not
and-
much of a stick, but he's a great glove, dude.
He's got a stick for a bat. That's what it is.
Well,
He don't
but
hit.
you need that defense.
No,
I'll
I
take
agree.
the defense.
So
I
he's a
agree. very
taker, not
nice
a
off the
giver.
bench, but I'm not getting excited over Freddie Galvis.
I'd rather see him than Alec Boehm at third.
Absolutely,
No,
I'll give you that.
100%,
I'll give you that.
100%.
I'll give you that.
Here's a move that I like. I'm sure Joe Girardi, you're out here listening after your big win in Washington, but here's a move, and I think you guys would agree, right? First base is a problem. We know Hoskins is done. I would keep Marchand behind catcher, and when JT's ready, put him at first base.
I don't think.
Yeah, but how
I don't
long
think
is that?
Hoskins is
How
done.
do you-
though.
I think
Hoskins
you
is
keep-
out for the year.
I know. Oh, you mean?
Oh,
I'm
I'm
saying
saying
now.
next year
Oh,
for
I
this
thought you meant
run.
next year.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I don't want to see anywhere Andrew Knapp on this
Well,
field.
that's why they brought Marchand up.
Right, that's what I'm
Because
saying.
that's your.
And
If you
JT
do make
goes-
the playoffs, you got to put JT at first.
That's what
just
I'm
to
saying.
keep him in the line.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And Marchand's, like you said, he hasn't been bad so far.
Yeah, I thought you were talking long term. I don't want to see
I thought you
JT
said
long
next
term,
year,
but eventually,
If I could trade Reese Hoskins for a pitcher, I might do it.
not this early in his career,
Hmm.
right? Because then you're
AB just made a good point. He says Galva's good in the field. Montauk hard run slide in the second is why they scored the go-ahead run today. The scrubs are smarter than the stars.
Thank you, AB. That's exactly right. Thanks
That's a
for
good
being
point.
part of my cult.
Let's get one thing straight. There is no cult of Smitty going on here.
In Penn State, there is.
Oh, he said something.
So-
Smitty, no.
right. I got a question from my uncle today with the Nola thing. He's like, "Are we done with Nola?" And I'm thinking, so we're getting ready to go into a conversation about Ben, and you hear about us running players out of town.
Oh, that drives
Yeah,
me
but we're
nuts.
not going to get
Carson's
shit
gone.
for Nola.
Ben's going
And now
next. Are we
Nola's
going to be
talk.
running Nolan out of town next?
No, because I think there's a fine line between running out of town and the guy just losing it.
Yeah, they're underperforming. I don't think we
I don't
ran any of this.
understand,
guys.
like, what do you like? You said, Jim, in our group chat, when is enough? Like with the pat on the back,
Yeah.
and like
You
know,
gotta-
you got to perform.
You got
Especially when you're being paid max contract type deals.
as Joel says, you got to be better, DJ.
Oh,
Yes.
jeez, that
No,
that's
but
another
Flan,
one,
I
too.
think, missed what I said. He said, and I agree, Flan. You said JT is the best defensive catcher in baseball, calls a great game. You start him at catcher. I agree with you that JT is. However, this team has lost a lot of games because their defense sucks. They don't lose that game in San Diego and they sweep if Brad Miller can make a ground ball. So why I'm saying that is putting JT, at first base. I know that defensively you're not as good, but in the
Not as
catcher
good as
position-
what at first base?
No, right. So
You're
no,
better
I'm
at
saying
first
behind
base.
the plate,
Well,
the
yeah,
plate.
but you're better at first
not to have
base.
fun.
But
Yeah, I
I
gotcha.
would do it. I think that
Yeah,
that's the move to make right now.
I would.
Brad
but
Miller,
I would.
he's good for that pinch hit, in the bamboo once in a while, but that's about it. Like defensively, he sucks.
Yeah, he's not very exciting to me now.
And neither of our corner infielders do anything.
No,
Like, I don't care who you put there. If it's Boehm, if it's Miller, like, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to put JT there though.
He also says calling the games is most important. Dude, it doesn't matter who the hell is calling the game when Matt Moore's pitching. I don't give a shit if he's the best catcher in baseball.
When playoff
Right,
ball comes around,
right.
it's important.
Well, you
Well,
got you got
maybe
an ex-catcher as a manager too.
Right.
He can call a game.
Put Joe Girardi behind the plate.
Oh, jeez.
Sure.
He's better than that, probably.
He is.
Let me ask you guys something here. I've been thinking about this and I've been looking at this a little bit, and I was actually thinking about putting a play on this. Is if the Phillies make the playoffs, is Harper your MVP?
Ooh, that's tough. If
What's
he
he
keeps
plus
it up,
900?
Plus 750.
Oh, he went.
he's up. This all his numbers are doing is going up.
So who?
They haven't gone down.
And Wheeler's numbers are down, right, for Cy Young?
Yeah, Tatis has gone
have to
down
be.
a little bit. He's
Wait,
dwindling.
His numbers have gone up, Harper?
Yeah.
I thought he was at a plus 1,000 at one point.
No, I'm not talking fantasy odds. I'm talking actual baseball numbers. Or not
Oh.
fantasy odds.
Betting
Betting
okay,
odds.
all right.
Like actual MVP, like his batting numbers have gone up.
Yeah, okay.
Like Tatis is kind of falling off a little bit. And it wasn't a lot. His average went down a couple points, but I think if he keeps up this tear and like he's doing, putting the team on the back, I don't see how he's not your MVP.
I don't think it's a bad bet. I don't know if
What's he at?
Putting a
20,
stack on it,
26
but
home
I agree,
runs. He's got
Flan,
the
his
highest.
RBIs are too
Yeah,
low.
but his
But his
highest on base percentage.
his OPS is
leading the
league.
Yeah, his opposite is the highest.
And his OPS is high. His on base percentage is high. Right, and his average is killing it. I don't see.
And
Like,
I mean, if
how
they make
he's-
the playoffs
and
after coming out of
I
5.5,
think more importantly, he's getting a clutch here, a clutch hit
Yeah.
here and there.
and he's the whole team is behind him, like is riding
this-
behind him.
This was a month ago. I don't know how these have changed, but his on-base percentage, he was second in the league.
he's first
His
right
slugging
now.
percentage, he was fourth, and his OPS, he was third.
He
And
was
OPS is
first.
first now.
OPS is first now.
I don't know about slugging percentage, but can you? And I can't help but keep thinking about the Phillies as we're talking about them being 1.5 back last week. I know they were like 5. If they didn't get there, even if they split against the Diamondbacks, the worst team out in Arizona, we're in first place. You also think about how many games this team blew, and I know we've talked about it. What they blew in 22, 23 games.
26, I think.
I was 26.
Earlier.
If you even win half of those,
Yeah.
you're running away with the
And-
freaking division.
And think about it. Beginning of this year, somebody would have told us, "Oh, the Phillies will be 1.5 games out in September."
I think we,
I
yeah.
think we would
Yeah.
all take that.
And
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Did you
you
just
know?
say Pittsburgh? The Pittsburgh series losing 2 out of 3 to
No,
Pittsburgh.
no, that was a big one. Arizona
That-
getting losing
and,
all
and
4.
losing 3 to Arizona. Those,
They got
Wasn't it? It was
swept. They got
4.
swept.
It was
those
4.
five out of 6 of those games
It was yeah, right.
between Pittsburgh and Arizona. 5 out of 6 they lost.
Well,
They'd
yeah.
be up three
Yeah.
3 games right now, probably. If they
If-
win those 2
If
series.
they're- what do they got? The Braves this weekend? Is it?
No.
No, they're not for a
What do they
couple
have? The
weeks.
Brewers this weekend? They have
Oh,
some.
that's tough then.
Isn't it in Milwaukee this weekend?
I don't know, but they went over the schedule on the
I'll
radio
pull it
They
up.
got
on my way
Miami
home,
a
and
few
they have a
times.
really easy schedule.
That's what
They've
I'm
got
saying.
Miami
The only
again, they
tough
got
team they
Pittsburgh
have
again.
left
Is Atlanta.
the Braves.
And
Yeah,
we'll have
absolutely. And it's the
Milwaukee, right?
second to
Milwaukee's-
last
the Brewers are
series.
tough.
Milwaukee's the top team in the
Yeah,
Central.
Yeah, they're tough.
Okay, all
But
right.
the,
Two,
but the
two
Braves
tough
definitely
teams.
have the
Yeah.
hardest. They
Well,
still have to go out the same
Phillies
freeze,
got-
right?
They got their 69th win today, so I mean,
There we
they're
go.
looking
You
nice. I
should
mean,
celebrate.
yeah,
Shots.
Deep
So
nice.
Shots all
the
around.
good times.
Yeah, I think the second to last series is against the Braves. I think
it
the
really
Braves are
that-
late.
oh,
I think they're
that
late in the
late?
season.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
oh,
second
this-
to last series.
This
Yep.
weekend they're in Miami. Now
Yeah.
they stink in Miami.
This weekend,
We've got Colorado. We've got Cincinnati again, I think.
and Colorado is brutal
Pittsburgh
on the road.
again.
I heard.
Colorado stinks. So they should win at home against Colorado. Miami, hopefully you take 2 out of 3 in Miami. Hopefully, I know they don't play well in Miami, and then you're in Milwaukee. That's tough. I don't think they win that series.
Yeah.
I think you need to look at the Braves schedule.
The Braves is
honestly,
the
and
most-
see what
The
they.
Braves have
well,
the
their
Giants
schedule's
still.
tough.
They
Their
got the
schedule's tough.
Rays again, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a lot.
That's a
Yeah.
shame.
I agree with the RBIs too
Who
low.
said that's a shame?
RBIs are too low. I agree, and then I also agree with Joe White is like when he was crushing the baseball in the beginning of the year, nobody was on base.
Yeah, all those solo home runs.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh wow.
AB saying MVP from the Brewers, Dodgers, or Giants. I would agree with. I mean, I think Tatis, but right now the Padres are like.
That's what I was going to say.
falling
Tatis's
that way.
numbers have fallen.
I mean, who on the Giants is? I mean, is Brian doing a lot since he's been there? I haven't been
I don't know
following
about
the
the Dodgers.
Giants.
I don't think
I
the Dodgers
do.
are the Bryant.
You know what I think is
the
kind of
Giants.
funny? You guys realize that the lead has been choked away
the Giants,
by the
they
Giants.
did. They
Kapler,
lost.
is
They got
he gonna?
swept.
Is Kapler gonna have that September collapse
like he
and
did
not
here
even
2
get
years
in
in
the
a row.
wild card?
Yeah, he did that
Oh,
2 years
wow.
in a row here.
Right? What are they?
actually, the Braves series is the last series of the season
Oh, it's the last. I thought it was the
next
last.
to
Wait,
last.
against the Phillies?
in Atlanta too. That could be very
That'd be
interesting.
an interesting
Yeah.
weekend.
That could
Shit,
be.
we
for
got
the-
a
Or
vision.
what is it? Is it
That-
a weekend series? Is it
Well,
they usually close the
hopefully,
season
no,
out.
hopefully,
middle of
hopefully,
Tuesday
Tuesday
have-
through Thursday.
here you go. Hopefully, we're up 4
Hopefully,
And it doesn't
going
matter.
into that,
hopefully, and it don't matter.
And it
yes,
doesn't
that
matter.
would be nice.
or at least 3.5.
But
Our
that-
luck,
that
we'll be
series-
up 2 and get our
Yeah,
asses
right.
swept.
Yeah.
We'll all be on here,
Yeah.
division, and then
Wow, that could
Aaron
be very,
Nola
that could be
will blow
very
it.
interesting.
So right now the Phillies are plus 300 to win the NL East.
so what are
See,
the
I think
Braves?
that's too
Minus
low.
360.
Well,
I
You
think that's
low.
Yeah, because you look at the Braves schedule, it's tough. I mean, yeah, they're a game and a half up, and they are the better team on paper. But I just think the Phillies
they got a lot of
schedule's too
injuries
easy.
too.
And they're
Albies is
dealing
hurt
with
now
injuries,
too.
yes.
Albies is hurt. That's
Is Freeman still hurt
No, he's back.
or
So
COVID?
You're thinking it should be like a plus 600?
For the
You're going
Phillies.
the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it should be a little. No, I think it should be like
It should
plus
be like a
250.
minus.
Not minus. Not minus yet, but like plus 250 range.
You said too low. I was like, I think plus 300 is solid money.
Yeah, it's not bad. But I mean, I'm just looking at the Braves schedule now.
I'm saying you
It's-
jump on
it's
that
tough.
now. If
They
you're
gotta
saying
go-
that Braves have a really hard schedule
Not
and the Phils
They
have an
gotta-
easy.
They got to go out to. They got to go out to San Fran. They got to go out to San Diego. I mean,
yeah.
So
Yeah,
what do you-
that's why I'm asking.
What do you got, Nate? Then you got MVP plus. Are you doing a parlay or is it?
I mean, you can do a parlay,
You doing
but
Philly-
no, I would do it
Phillies
straight.
Do it
I would do it straight. So, and the reason why I asked because I knew he was in the running. I knew he's still kind of hot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just looking at where's the value, right?
Yeah.
Where's the value in the play? And if you're saying, I mean, what you guys are break it down, just listen to what you guys are saying. You're saying Atlanta has a much tougher schedule than we do. We're picking up steam again. We're getting hot. Ours it's really just the Atlanta series that we have. We're only a half a game back, especially with I think Joe White said the Braves are in Colorado today. They're on the slump. That's not bad money. I mean, you're getting
Yeah.
3-1 to your money.
They're-
So
yeah, I mean, they're 2 games down in the wild card. I'd love to see them get the Giants
and that's what I'm.
knock Kapler out. That'd be great.
That's another thing too that I'm looking at too is
Could you imagine?
what is the odds for them to make the playoffs?
I mean, they're 2 out in the wild card, and what they're
And you
one,
said
think they're 1.5.
one and a half.
in the division.
So that might be the best bet right there.
the division bet.
No, the
Wild card.
make the playoffs.
The Phillies,
Oh yeah, just in general.
Just in
Philly-
general.
Phillies are the hottest team right now. I mean, I know
I don't.
off the Nationals. No, they're the hottest team in baseball. They've
They're in a
6-game win streak, and
but-
anybody else in the league is only
but
won
the
3 in a
Dodgers
row.
Not,
But
not
the
only are
Yankees,
they on a
Dodgers
6,
and Yankees are on a tear.
Did the Yankees
Not
just win
only are
Yankees
the
in a row?
Phillies-
10 in a row. Yeah.
not only are the
Dodgers are
Phillies on a
7-3.
6-game winning streak, they're raking numbers.
Yes,
Yeah,
7 runs.
7 plus 6 in a row.
Right, and they're 7-3, same as the Dodgers over the last 10.
Yeah, but so they're not the
The
hottest. team in
Yankees just
baseball.
went on a 13 game. They
They're-
were 12 or 13.
Yeah, they went on a hot streak.
6 wins.
Yeah,
They have
but
the
I'm-
biggest win streak right
But
now.
I would
in
take the
baseball.
Dodgers and Yankees hot.
Well, the Yankees,
over
yeah, Yankees are
the Phillies.
6-4 in their last 10.
Oh. Well, they were good for.
They are
They,
good.
they jumped the Red Sox. They went on a tear.
Put our thumbs down.
All right. Do we want to like just start getting mad? Do we want to get fired up?
Do we
now?
want to
Is that,
get mad?
is that time in the show?
Are you
Yeah,
guys
to
really?
end the show.
Is he really
Is
trying
that
to?
that time in the show that we got to start?
You got to be better.
Gotta go out on fire, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we want to
yeah.
jump into it, we can.
All
That's
right.
fine.
I'm ready to jump into it.
All
I
right.
think we all got our own little spiels to get through.
So the report came out this week that Ben doesn't want to be here. Said he won't show up. I don't want to be a Sixer anymore.
That's good.
Okay, fine.
Fine.
Make your comments.
You
Is
have every
he-
right to.
His agent comes out. He's going to get him out. Apparently, he says he also wants to get his other client, Tyrese Maxey, out. Rumors are that he told any of the charities that he was working with to
Yeah.
cancel those
Yeah.
events. Joe goes out on social media like he does, and like Joe does, first he starts talking about the Real Madrid trades or something like that.
Just to get people
Just to
started.
get people fired up.
Right, exactly.
And then he fires which I think we were talking a little bit before this. I think he
Yeah.
was trying to show support for Ben, but then he also makes the comment that Philly fans need to be better. I voiced my opinion on that many times, and I'll voice it again.
So
So now we're stuck with our superstar. For those listening to the podcast, I did big quotes in the air. Superstar wants out. He's trying to force his hand out. At the end of the season, I think half of the city wanted him out anyway.
Yeah.
But now the way it's being handled seems like it's got some people up in arms.
I didn't take
The floor's yours.
I didn't take offense to what Joel said about being better because Joel is a jackass. And I think he was just trying to get us started. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to boo me and I'm having an MVP season? Like, I'll throw it back in your face. But I don't think he really meant they need to be better. I think he was really just being a troll Embiid, right? Just like he did when he came on, Ben drops, he wants to get traded, and then he's asking about transfer news from Real Madrid. Yeah. So, I think he was trolling that. I have two theories about, first of all, I think Rich Paul, if you're listening, you're a piece of shit. Okay? let me just tell you that.
All the big timers.
We just lost a listener.
But I got a real problem with the NBA, and I know we've talked about this. I got a huge problem when now you have agents, and I know AB said, that might not be true that Maxey wants out. But even if that is the case, Rich Paul has no, I don't even want to say right, but sitting there and telling the Sixers, Ben's going to sit there and say, money doesn't define me. If that's true, right? If we believe Pompey that's what happened, that, money's not going to define me. You can find me. I don't care. And then the agent wants to turn around and say, oh, well, if you find me, I'm going to make sure, any of my agents or, my clients don't come to you, or it's going to hurt you in free agency. And my thing is that's what's wrong with the NBA. There's too much power in the NBA by Rich Paul, who's really LeBron James, right? Let's just put it out there who he is. Rich Paul he's LeBron James' puppet. Clutch Sports is ran by a player that's in the league. I got an issue with that. I got a huge issue with the players and the agents dictating the whole league. That's why I like the NFL. And I know people are like, Roger Goodell's tough, and I get that. But however, we've talked about this. Roger Goodell would never let the shit go on in the NFL. It's a joke what goes on in the NBA. Tampering is convenient when it's for certain people. You want to now look into the Miami Heat for Kyle Lowry tampering because it happened the first week of free agency. But you're not looking at the fact that when Anthony Davis was in New Orleans, LeBron James and Rich Paul met multiple times with him, had dinner with him to force him to say, I'm only going to LA and I'm only signing that contract. But you're right, that's not tampering. The league has an issue where they need to fix it right now. They need to fix it. They need to fix the power of players. Ben Simmons is signed to a 5-year max extension. He wants to talk about how Philly did not treat him right. And I've been one of the biggest Ben supporters. But Ben, we got rid of Jimmy Butler because of you. We handed you a max contract. We've done everything to try to make you better. Have some self-accountability. Have some pride.
Where's the relationship? Where's the back and forth?
Yeah. It's been a one-way highway.
Right.
Yeah.
The Sixers have done everything for this guy and baby him. And because the coach maybe shouldn't have said, is he my point guard in the heat of the moment? I don't know. Joel's trying to repair. He's either doing it two ways, but Joel's a smart guy. He's either trying to repair the relationship with Ben, which I'm not so sure that's what he's trying to do, or he's trying to keep that trade value high for the Sixers.
Yeah.
I want to give you a little background on players running the league in the NBA, and I think that's the most prolific example of players running the league, that in baseball.
Sure.
Back, and yeah, I know you're going to give me grief.
No, I'll give you, go ahead.
Back in coming out of the merger of the ABA into the NBA back in the late 70s,
right?
The NBA was faltering, and they were looking for ways to promote themselves and to get back into a major league status. And so the league, starting in the 80s with David Stern, decided the way back into that elite status, that elite league status, was to promote their stars. And that's why you saw Bird, Magic, Dr. J, and then Jordan when he got into the league. They started promoting the players as opposed to the teams and as opposed to the league. And I think that is the roots of what you're seeing now.
I agree with you.
Where players are running the league.
I agree with you, but David Stern still put his foot down in some situations, like that Chris Paul.
But I'm saying the roots of it were sown back then.
Adam Silver's a puppet for that
league. Absolutely.
The players can do whatever the hell they want.
Yes.
And he doesn't care.
Yes.
I think
Like, it was an embarrassment the way that James Harden situation was handled last year. The way that, like, he completely, like, turned his back on his teammates. Then, I still don't think Brooklyn was a half-ass deal that Brooklyn gave him, and that's the only place he wanted to go. And the funniest part was that was okay tampering, too, that Kyrie and Durant went with Harden in the summer and was like, you need to force yourself to Brooklyn. I mean, that's the league right now, right?
I think it's a league that makes it easier to do that because of the size of the teams, and there are only so many superstars. Like you compare it to the NFL, there's 53 guys in the team, right? They're not all superstars, but it's a little more.
Yeah.
You're right.
If it's watered down,
Yeah.
there's not as much leverage there. I guess.
But the NBA
right?
only cares.
But how are you going to tell a
can't-
guy you can't go to have dinner with your buddies in the offseason? I get it.
How are you going to have a star MVP player running a sports agency?
Look, I'm with you there, but you can't tell me like LeBron can't go have dinner with Harden if he wants to, or KD.
But that's
not-
why they investigate.
Oh, get the hell out of
It
here.
was funny. Danny Green was
Get the hell out of
Danny
here.
Green was on somebody's podcast
Yeah.
this week, and he made a comment too, like maybe the Sixers might get fined for tampering after what I said today
Yeah.
because he was talking about
I
player
didn't know
movement.
how
Like,
everyone-
Well, what's his name? Daryl Morey got fined on Twitter
for the
Twitter
Steph Curry.
for
yeah.
Steph telling
But that's
Steph to come
not as-
join your brother.
That's
No,
not
that-
egregious. of what's
It's not.
going
It's
on.
not as
loose
obnoxious
draft.
as what some
Adam-
others do, but I mean,
Adam
it's
Silver
considered tampering.
cares about two regions. He cares about making sure that California, LA teams are relevant, and he cares about New York. That's it. I'm glad to see Milwaukee even won this year, but that's all he cares about. As
I'm
long
not
as
happy to see Milwaukee win. Come on.
But I'm saying, like, as
He's
opposed
happy
to
it's
the
not the
Lakers,
Lakers.
right?
I get
Or
you.
Brooklyn.
or New York. I get it.
Right. But that's the only thing he cares about. He wants to make those teams relevant, the big market teams.
So
And Philly's a big market.
oh yeah, it
Yeah.
should be a bit,
But we
was.
get
it
shit
should be a
on-
big market.
We get shit
Because of
on
what they
because
did.
of the
because of the process, because it worked, sort of.
Right. Much
Not
like
in
the
the championship
NHL
terms,
shit
but-
on the Flyers all those years because of the Broad Street Bullies.
Yeah.
We're going to be shit on now because of the process with
All
the
right.
Sixers.
But a lot of other teams have. I mean, I'm not to the
The
egregious way
Thunder
that
openly
Sixers
did
tank,
it.
But even before that, the Boston Celtics tried to lose every single
Yeah.
game to get
Yeah.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand
The
what the
Knicks-
Sixers
Yeah,
did
but they
was wrong.
didn't do it 5 years.
But
But the Knicks did it,
right, the Knicks did it.
and they failed
Right,
miserably.
the
'cause they
Thunder
had
did
terrible
it. The
front
Thunder
office.
did it. The Suns,
The
tanked.
Suns did it, and they made the finals.
Right.
But they won't get shit on.
but here,
No.
but here's
Because-
my issue. I don't even care. I'm actually glad that Hinkie exposed the league for what it is, because the Sixers could never be, and this is for anything, unless you're a Lakers or a team that is shitty one year and come out and get a bunch of free agency. If you're a small market team, you are never going to be relevant in the NBA without a star.
that's any,
and the
that's-
Sixers knew
that's
that.
any league, though.
Yeah, and it's also any team.
But
If
look
you
at
don't
how
have a
bad the
star,
Lakers
you're
were.
not going
I
to
know,
be
but I'm
relevant.
saying-
But
You
look
can
at how
say
bad
that
the
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 Lakers
Knicks
are.
haven't been relevant in
Now they are.
I want to say, dare I
weren't-
say, decades. They
weren't
haven't been
for
relevant.
20 years.
Right.
I think that's part of what DJ was saying. They're just shitty front office.
Yeah, they're
Right.
office
And
was
an owner.
horrible.
Yeah.
And the owner was a
DB.
Can I say asshole?
Sure.
Okay,
I've said
no.
some
There's no
things tonight.
FCC
Probably
regulations.
shouldn't say that.
Sorry. But to go back on this whole dumpster fire that is the Philadelphia 76ers right now.
Actually, I just noticed does our closed caption it actually
Oh, does it curse? Does it curse?
clears
for
out the
us?
curse words?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh shit! No way.
There we go.
All right,
Shit.
sweet. But to go back on
All right,
this,
everybody
dumpster
wants to
fire.
see their
Yeah.
words.
So
going down.
I don't necessarily
Shit.
have a problem with Joel Embiid tweeting at us to be
I
better.
don't either.
I do have a problem
I
with
do.
it a little bit, because what more can we do for you guys when you blow 2 20-plus point leads at home in the playoffs and we still cheer for yous? We also cheered on Markelle Fultz. We cheered like hell for Fultz. We cheered on
cheered
you
for Ben.
specifically, Joel Embiid, when you missed 2 years. 2 years we waited for you to step on the court. And we loved every second of that first game.
You know he's going to continue to
For-
bask in the fact
I
that he
get
was
it.
booed.
I get it.
That's just what
That's
he's doing.
fine. That's what it is. And then
I think
we
he's just
go and
showing.
cheer for Ben Simmons when he's at the free throw line, his worst part of
Yeah,
his game.
that guy in the
We're
end.
cheering
He's like,
for
come on,
him.
elbow.
We are cheering for our worst free throw shooter, the worst free throw shooter in the history of playoff playoff basketball, might I add.
And this is a
Free
Ben
throw
Simmons
percentage
fanboy.
in the
Uh-huh.
playoff basketball history, okay? Put that out there. We cheer for
Put
him
that
to go.
in
As he's
smoke
going
in
to the line, we're cheering for him.
Yes.
How can we be better? Okay?
Can
You're
I-
up 25
I
points
think
and
can I-
you blow it at home.
I wanna-
Not once. Fucking twice.
There it is.
There's the,
I wanna-
the tornadoes
I wanna-
taking over the Delaware Valley.
How do you want us to be better, Joel?
Get the venom out.
But the
Get it out.
reason why I don't have a problem with it is because Joel is the first one to take accountability on himself.
The tornadoes
So I
sweeping through.
can get behind them for that aspect. But in terms of Ben Simmons, dude, you're soft as Charmin. Okay? Like I just said, we cheered for you every step of the way. We did like Smitty said, we did everything we can for you. And then you want to turn around because you got butthurt because, the team openly, willingly wants to trade me. No shit, dude. You didn't step up in the biggest moments of the
And this
season
is the first
when you're
time.
our team's second option
Right.
and our max contract player.
Right.
No shit, we wanted to trade you. And guess what? Your value's going down even more now, dumbass, because when we wanted
Yeah,
to
but he
trade you
doesn't
for
care.
Harden, we couldn't. And now, maybe we'll get Buddy Hield for you. How are you gonna feel about that?
CJ
one?
McCollum, right?
How does that
Yeah.
make you feel?
None of that
Well,
make
You're
me
role players.
You
You're a
got-
all-star type player. And now we're getting role players for you. How do you feel now, jackass?
Two things
Send
on
him
that.
to Minnesota.
Two things on that.
Go freeze
Number
your
one,
ass off in Oklahoma City, dude. I don't care.
number one, the contracts have to match, so you got to get something back.
Right. But
Okay.
it-
You could
but
get
it
Al
can
Horford.
still happen where we get role players and draft picks.
And,
because the
and
draft
number
picks won't
two,
count.
I'm going to join you in the venom. Okay.
Yeah.
I have literally seen 5th and 6th graders.
Oh,
I've
man.
watched it personally.
Ben's gonna call you out on
Sink-
his Instagram
Sink
tonight.
not one but 2 free throws. Not off the backboard, not roll around the rim. They swish them.
But they don't have a bunch
At
of people
the,
watching.
when the game
That's
is
true.
on
That's
the
true.
line, the
Dude,
game is on the
CYO 's
line.
packed.
I've seen 5th and 6th graders sink free
Yeah.
throws.
They're coming
And
to see the
this
best
guy
CYO
who's
coach in
getting-
Philadelphia.
Double-digit millions of dollars can't sink a freaking free throw in a playoff game when we need his ass to step up and sink a freaking free throw.
While the crowd is cheering.
While the crowd is cheering for you.
Ric Flair, woo!
5th and 6th graders do it. Why can't you?
Wow, what's more
it's
red, Santa
ridiculous.
or Deke's face right now?
We gotta keep
I like
going.
it.
I think
I
it's-
like
I think
it.
it's-
Listen,
I think it's just ridiculous how this is all turned.
this is
Like
yeah,
we were a championship level
a
team.
one seed.
A one seed. Not even just this year. For multiple years we've been a
Yep.
championship level
Right?
talent
Yep.
team. And to see it all crumble like this is just it's ridiculous.
It
because
is.
of one guy.
One guy.
It's ridiculous.
Yep.
One guy
And-
was supposed to be the next Magic Johnson
It's
One
the
guy that-
comparisons, yeah.
that we've supported and we've been told
I can't
over
believe I
and
defended
over.
him.
Over and over again, that's not what he does. Don't expect him
Right,
to do
we
that. That's not
defended
what he
you.
does. So we all got comfortable with him not doing what he
Right.
does.
Wait,
And
time
I
out.
think that-
I never got comfortable with that.
All right,
You got
know-
it.
you
You
guys
can't
know
handle
that.
the truth.
he's part of the 1%ers. He's part of the 1%ers that didn't get comfortable.
We even
with it.
supported you when your ass got dumped several
got-
times by Kendall.
We talked about Doc. Is this Doc's fault?
Eh?
Maybe you blame.
It could be.
If you're a coach, if you're a coach and you're working with a player so much, and you can't get on the court and do it for that player, you can't get behind him and tuck his elbow in when he's shooting.
Yeah.
Like you got to get to a point where we lost the playoffs because of you.
Doc's
But nobody's gonna come out and say that. Well,
It is not.
No.
He's
I'm with
one-
Jim.
he's one of
I'm
the
with
main
Jim.
reasons.
I'm with you.
At a certain point, a coach is going to get
You think they
frustrated.
lost because of Ben?
One of the main reasons.
Ben is
No,
more-
it was a total team effort.
the
No.
hell
No.
It
Ben-
was.
they
No,
lost.
it was.
They lost because Doc Rivers can't coach in the playoffs.
He's number 2, but Ben is definitely
Ben
number 1.
takes a big hit.
It was a total
Ben-
team
Ben
effort.
makes it.
And Joel didn't hit that layup when we needed him to hit that freaking layup.
That's true too. He did go 0 for 12 in the fourth quarter.
Andrew, wait, everybody be quiet. Andrew's going to speak.
Hold on. Lord Andrew, speak.
And when Ben Simmons gave up that dunk on Trae Young and passed it to
Toby, yes.
Was it Thibault?
Yes.
But
No, but if Ben hits half his free throws, just half,
Half.
they win the
I
series.
can't blame Ben.
Maybe
that-
not even half.
I can't blame Ben that we blew a 28-point lead and an 18-point lead. That's
No,
not
that's
that
where
bad.
I blame.
and-
That's where I blame
and-
Doc.
To your point, Jim, I don't blame Doc. I blame everyone who has enabled Ben Simmons from the time he started playing basketball and said yes to him and never said no to him and put him up on this pedestal because he can do whatever he did on the basketball court except shoot the freaking ball when we need him to shoot the ball,
Take the hill.
except make foul shots
Yo,
when we need him to
we-
make foul shots.
The reason why we lost Game 7 is because we got cooked by a Father Judge player and Ryan and Herder.
come on.
He
He
didn't
And-
play.
and not
yes,
the
he
hard-
did. Herder had
not the
28
hard-
points
Oh,
in
you're
Game
talking-
7,
you're talking about
and we
Herder
let
and
Seth
Bogdanovich?
Curry.
Not
And we
the
let
hard-
Seth Curry
They,
on
they
him.
should be the backcourt for
Not
Father
to
Judge.
harp
I agree.
on, but I'm going to harp on his form, and I'm going to harp on players who never
Here
can
comes
dream of
Herder
seeing the
again.
NBA. I watched the kid from Carroll with excellent jump shot form, and he I don't know, he scored 25, 30 points, whatever it was, at Ryan this year. But he had perfect form on the jump shot,
With
and I'm
five,
like, this
with
kid's in
five
high
people
school.
in the crowd.
Why can't Ben have perfect form on a
They get
jump
good
shot?
crowds.
He's a professional
You-
basketball
you-
player, and a kid at Carroll has 100 times better form and technique on his shot than this guy in the NBA does.
You need to make a video, shooting video.
Ooh, my dad.
Yeah, Teague,
Oh,
like
dude.
you know those old VHS
You see the
tapes?
Like the old Fred, the old Fred McGriff.
You aim for that.
Wait,
Fred McGriff video. The old remember those old Fred McGriff videos? Yeah, if you
come watch me coach a game.
What
Dude.
was
You
his
think
name?
I'm fired up
Tom,
now? Watch me coach a game.
What was the name of that program? The Tom somebody.
this is all messed up.
Yeah. So look, I am not blaming Doc as far as at the end when they're saying that Doc throwing Ben under the bus.
That's messed up. I don't agree with that.
No, the coach should never.
You do that behind closed doors. That I have a
Exactly.
problem.
That-
How
And
how
Joel
many
threw him under the
times did
bus,
he
too.
protect him? They asked him
That's-
right after
no.
right after a
You're right.
playoff loss.
You're right, but
The
you
worst
yo.
things have been said.
but you
but-
got to be more professional.
but here's
You
the
don't do
thing.
it to the open media.
Doc was really hypocritical throughout the playoffs. He's like, if you don't think Ben's special, you don't know basketball.
That's what I'm
Ben
saying.
doesn't need to. So Doc is the issue. Doc babied him, and then Doc threw him under the bus. Can't have it both ways,
Well-
Doc. You said all year, oh, Ben doesn't have to be a scorer. He does everything else elite. So then he doesn't score, and he asks him if he can be your point guard, and you throw him under the bus because you're the one to be on Sports Center because you're the coach that's blown the most playoff series in league history. Doc Rivers is a huge problem.
Yeah, he is.
So
But
can we trade Doc with
I
Ben?
think
Is that
I still think it's Ben.
It
Yeah, but
is
Doc isn't the one that's out on the floor.
Wow. AB just sent this in
Mark.
from
what is that?
for our group chat.
I can't see what
The
it is.
Sixers took guards. Thanks, Smitty, for this.
Jesus.
The Sixers took guards with back-to-back first overall picks in 2016 and 2017. Those two guards made a combined 9 3-pointers in
Wow.
a Sixers uniform.
Wow.
Those two guards would be
That's-
And how many years?
Ben and Fultz.
Look where
Oh.
that's from.
A2D, that's right, yeah. But I mean, you think about it.
They stole that.
That's your problem. When you draft first overall 2 guards that hit 9 combined 3-pointers in a league where the most important factor of the game is the 3-point line, that's a problem.
So we're got enough on Ben. We probably owe a few bucks to the Ben jar.
That's true. It would
we
be
didn't
overflowing.
totally get into the Joel piece of it, but Nate, we were talking before we came on the air. Nate has an interesting perspective on the Tyrese piece of it.
Yeah, so I actually think it's actually a smart move by Rich Paul and the Sixers. That if it's true, that if you look at Ben right now, obviously you have a disgruntled star. He can't shoot, et cetera, et cetera. We know the whole Ben Simmons story. But if you think about it, he has no value right now. Like, he really doesn't.
Mhm.
No value.
Agreed.
So when you look at that, you might get a starter for him and a pick. Like, maybe. You're not going to get an all-star. You're not going to get a star. But the fact that Maxi's in his second year, he has a high ceiling, and then that he just came out and tore up the summer league, probably might be the best player in the summer league. You add him to the mix with Ben. If you think about that, you have to get a haul back for that.
Yeah,
There's no other way to do
I
that.
agree with you.
So I don't know if it's strategy on the back end from the Sixers and Rich Paul because it doesn't make any sense. He's going into a second year. You can't force him out. The Sixers would never do that. But by adding him in there, one, you keep Thibault, I think, is another good thing. You don't even add Thibault. But Ben and Maxey, I think, get you an all-star back. I get you maybe even a starter and a pick.
And you also got to think of it this way as a depth perception. If you're going out and trading for a star guard, example, Damian Lillard, who everybody wants, what reason do you have to keep Tyrese Maxey then? Because Lillard just takes from all of that.
Right, so
Lillard plays 38 minutes a game.
I agree with you, but I'm not throwing Tyrese Maxey in a deal if it's not
for
to get me Beal or Lillard.
Yeah, no, I am in a heartbeat.
No, I said if it's not, I'll throw him in there.
Yeah,
but I'm not throwing Maxey in a deal to get us CJ McCollum.
No, but I think that's what we're saying. Like you guys were like earlier.
You guys hating on CJ. CJ's a walking bucket.
He is decent, but he doesn't do it for me.
He doesn't.
He can give you 50. Literally.
When's the last time he's put up 50 points?
I think this past year.
I don't think he played at all this year.
I think he did too down at that when he was playing that pickup game at Imhotep the other night.
Oh,
playing at the Y with CJ McCollum.
Look, Nate, I'm not going to argue that CJ McCollum isn't a good
I would
scorer.
do him for Ben straight
he's
up.
He's a good scorer and he's a solid starter. But
solid? He's just a solid starter.
He's
not serious.
He hasn't been an all-star in how many years? He hasn't dropped 50 points in how many years?
Oh my God, you guys are killing me.
I think the point that you made earlier, like right now, if you're trading Ben straight up, you're getting Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
Does that excite anybody?
No.
So if you throw in Maxey, does that bring you De'Aaron Fox along with Buddy Hield?
If I'm throwing in Maxey,
no.
But I'm not moving. You're return on Ben right now.
So then I'll let him sit. I'm not going to play this game where I'm taking
that's what the Sixers would do.
I'm not giving up. I don't want Minnesota, D'Angelo Russell. I don't want Malik Beasley. I don't want them. That's not enough.
Morey's smarter, too, to not just give up. To just not just give up pennies on the dollar for Ben.
That's what I'm worried about.
I don't think Morey's that type of GM. I think he's willing to let him sit out and pay his fines if he wants to or play, which he won't play, but
he might.
Then you're going to have to sit and pay your fines,
I think he might
buddy.
play. I think he's
and
going to have to.
then maybe your value goes up. Because let's say this. Let's put this hypothesis out there. Let's say 30 games into the year, 50 games into the year, Portland stinks and Dame wants out. Boom, your value goes right back up for Ben.
I don't think so.
I think it would. And you add Maxey and your draft pick, and maybe more draft picks,
or Thibault,
and you get Dame.
Shout out to Pat Sweeney coming in from Australia.
Yes.
Right? Whoa.
Can I chime in on that?
Wow.
Yeah,
You're not going to hear. You're
Throw
not
another
gonna,
shrimp on
you're
the
not going to
barbie.
like
You should
this.
ask him about Ben. He's from Australia.
Pat is a high school classmate of mine. Shout out to Pat, tuning in from Australia, and he's also been battling cancer for a while now, and really hoping he pulls through. He's looking good. He posted a couple things on Facebook about how he's doing. It's been a while since he's been battling for a while, but he's doing okay, and hoping all the best for him, and hope he pulls through. And thanks for listening from Perth, Australia.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Good
thanks,
luck.
Pat.
Good luck, Pat. Fight the good fight.
Pat.
I have a
Absolutely.
question. Did the toilets really flush reverse in Australia?
And also, what's the perception of Ben in Australia? Is he this?
That's true.
Is he
Great
this
question.
god, or is he?
That's a great question.
Just-
What is his perception
Yeah,
in
I
think
Australia?
Thibault's
I'd
the
like to
god
know
over
the
there.
answer to that.
So here we go, real quick, because you guys are killing me with this CJ talk. I'm just gonna put his numbers out there. His highs.
Go ahead.
Second game, he had 44, 20, 25, 28, 28, 26, 37, 30, 28. Then, like you said, he got hurt for about 25 games, came back, had 10, 11, 32, 16, 35, 22, 24, 20, 29, 29, 28, 22, 30, 33, 10, 12, 21. He's a walking goddamn.
So
bucket,
it's like
man.
what 24 a night
He's
on
about
average.
he's averaging about last year. He averaged about 24 a night.
Yeah.
What else does he do? Is he a good defensive
No,
player?
he's not the same
horrible defensively.
Any guy you get back in return for Ben is not the same defensively.
But we're not looking for a defensive man.
No, I
That's
agree.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you got to give up Ben and Maxey, then you're relying on Thibault to be the top defensive player.
Your other perimeter defender, your top perimeter
And then
defender.
let's not forget, Embiid ain't no slouch either.
No,
No,
and
but
that's
he's
what
not-
makes that's what made Ben so good on defense is because he had Embiid behind him.
I don't think McCollum's a needle mover for them in the East.
You're out of your mind.
I think
they're a 4 or 5 seed if they trade for McCollum.
Just think about Tatum, just older. Like that's what he is. Just smooth offensively.
No, come on, dude. And he's hurt a lot. He's hurt a ton.
I don't hate.
You don't think he's smooth offensively? Are you kidding me?
I mean, it's a little easier when you're next to Damian Lillard too.
I don't hate if
them
McCollum's
both?
here. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
right.
That's a
We
pipe
need
dream.
By being greedy.
I don't hate that if we get McCollum, but to
I'm not
me,
giving
I
up
don't
multiple
think
things.
it makes them better. I think it probably makes them.
You don't think McCollum
No.
on this team makes him better?
No, because they lose a shit ton defensively.
Well, they're going to lose a shit ton defensively anyway.
You just have. See, here's the thing. What does Ben do that Thibault couldn't do?
Not play for his country, apparently. Talking to Pat Sweeney.
Yeah,
Pat Sweeney said, "We love Matisse, but not so much for Ben.
Oh,
he didn't want
wow.
to play for his country."
Okay.
So Ben's a
and then
selfish
he
guy.
quit
It
on the
sounds like.
Sixers.
Who else was selfish that just got kicked out of town?
Oh,
apparently,
That's right. Was that a.
Number 11.
Yeah, was that
another
Carson?
dollar in the jar.
Yeah, it is. But
He
look,
said he's
God,
weighing his options about the vaccine today. He's thinking about it.
the thing, I don't know. McCollum, I just think they're the same. I don't know if they're better. I don't think they're worse.
They're not a 1 seed with him, are they?
They're top three.
That's what I'm
See, it's
saying. I think
Milwaukee
they're
and Brooklyn are 1 and 2.
They're definitely they don't.
I think they're
So they're
4.
fighting with Boston
they're
and
4
Indiana?
or 5.
Nah,
You guys,
Or
are,
New
you
York?
guys are
I
almost
would say
talking
that.
like they're going to be a downgraded team with McCollum on his team. And,
I think they're the same.
and I said this to Jim. I said this to Jim earlier. When's the last time we've seen a pure scorer like McCollum
on the Sixers,
on the Sixers?
Jimmy Butler.
Embiid.
Butler can score when he
He's saying
wants,
shooter.
but he's not a pure.
He's not a pure shooter.
He's not a pure
I get it.
shooter.
Kyle Korver.
All right. No.
I'm just saying somebody who can get the ball and get his own
Iverson.
bucket
Jerome
anywhere.
Kersey.
Iverson.
It's AI
Iverson.
with the handles, the dribble, the step back. He can get
Yeah.
a shot anywhere he wants when he wants it.
I just
I just
I
don't
gotta
think,
think there's
I just
something
don't think
better
it
out
puts
there.
them over the top.
I mean, there's got to be something better out there.
No, right now there isn't.
Not for Ben.
Yeah,
Not
that's
for
the
Ben.
problem.
So
Ben,
then
Ben
Ben
is being
needs-
so devalued
So the
that
Ben
there
needs,
isn't something
He's
better.
hurting his value.
Ben
I
needs-
don't think they realize that. Like,
Ben needs to
coming
come
out and
back
saying all this
and
is
shoot the
hurting
ball.
value.
shoot the ball.
Yeah, he's not coming back. Man.
Here's a question slash
We didn't think
thought.
Zach Ertz would be here either, and look where he is.
No, it's a totally different situation.
I'm just saying.
Totally
I don't
different
think
situation.
I don't think.
Zach Ertz never
Guess
came
not.
out. Zach Ertz never came out and
I don't think Ben doesn't
Zach
play.
Ertz never got thrown under the bus. He never came out and diss the team. When did Ertz get thrown under the bus?
I
by
think
his
it's a
head coach?
different. I think it's a
no,
different
by his
situation
GM.
because it
Can I-
Ertz is towards the end of a contract and
Exactly.
Ben is in the beginning.
Yes,
and
and
Ertz
it's-
is
That's-
Ertz is
Ben's
on
in
his
prime.
downslide.
Yeah, Ben's in his prime.
I'm just saying we didn't think he would be back. I
Yeah,
think there's
no,
a
I-
possibility Ben plays.
Let me throw this out there. If Maxey stays on the team, is he a starter?
If you don't get a guard back, yeah,
Yeah, I think he's a starter.
it's and if you're,
I think he earned.
and honestly,
Forget any trade,
No, he
whatever.
absolutely
he
earned it.
being a
Absolutely.
starter.
and if you're Rich Paul in Clutch Sports, why would you want to hurt his value? Because if you move Ben Simmons, that ups Tyrese Maxey through the roof. Because now he's a starting point guard.
You know what the backstory is of why Rich Paul's made it to Sixers, right? Because the whole
Yeah.
thing with Nerlens Noel,
Well, he's
and
getting
Sixers-
sued right now
right? Because the sick.
by Noel.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know my microphones.
Your headphones go
Yeah, not worried. But anyway,
Your
we
mic's
can- I
on.
can hear you.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Oh,
We
okay.
got you.
So that basically they didn't when he got a contract offer from other teams after the Mavs offered him. Rich Paul didn't present that to him. Sixers were one of the teams that offered
wanted
him a
him back.
small and
Yep.
wanted him back, and he never reported it. So then after I guess Brett Brown threw this under the bus, so I guess Rich Paul's like now trying to do whatever he can to destroy Philadelphia.
being petty.
Yep.
And Pat Sweeney just chimed in again, said, "Don't trade Ben to a Cali team."
I wouldn't. I agree with that.
That's what he wants,
That's what he wants.
and I wouldn't do it either. I
I'll
agree
trade him
with-
to
I
the
agree.
Kings if I get De'Aaron Fox.
You could trade him close to Cali. So
What-
like
what,
San
Golden
Antonio.
State?
Like Portland, San Antonio, get the Rosen.
We're not going
I
to get
would-
you all the way to Cali,
I
but we'll
would've-
get you kind of close.
How's Mexico sound?
The Rosen's on Chicago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, traded to
DeJounte
Chicago.
Murray.
I forgot. I'm sorry. But
All
I
right.
don't
Did
know.
you guys?
Is he-
Did you get it all
We
out?
could trade. Can we make a trade to Turkey for Ben?
What are you getting, Burke's brother, Furcon's brother?
Why not?
I'm glad I didn't have
We'll
to
take a
change my
whole
name.
team just to
Come on,
match
Jim,
the
that would've been
contract.
great. Jim, I would have called you Ferk every day. I would have changed your name in my phone and
Nothing stopping
You know,
you from
that was
calling him that
close, too.
anyway.
I know.
There is another
Were you
wager.
nervous? Were you nervous at all though?
Maybe.
Would
Maybe a
you
little bit.
would you would have done it?
I don't welch on my bets. My bets I would have.
How would your parents
Yeah,
feel?
But it
about
would have
that?
been the size of a stamp.
How would your parents feel about that? How would mom feel? I don't
Actually,
think she'd be very
mom
happy.
might have taken a little hard.
She would have
'cause
been very upset.
Mom, to derail, mom, my middle name is Frederick.
Mhm.
Mom named me Frederick, thinking that people would call me Rick.
Rick.
I'm like, well, why did you make my first name James then? And why wouldn't you name me Richard, which also gives me the opportunity to be called Dick, which I've been called many times in my life.
That's nothing.
But-
We
new.
never talked about Dick Rod getting cut.
Yeah, that's
I was
right.
like, I don't get it. Like she was a big Rick Springfield fan, I think, or something. So,
What?
yeah, it's a whole.
You remember Rick Springfield, Dad?
I do.
Oh God.
No more stories. We don't need.
That's enough out of Jim tonight, or Dick.
Oh,
All right.
you just opened the door to a lot of grief.
There
Just opened the
is
door to a tornado coming through nowhere.
there's another
A
wager on the
tornado
table.
named Dick.
There's another wager on the table that I keep getting asked about.
Penn State.
No, Brody and Smitty said if Julio was not on the Falcons week 1, that the Eagles would beat the Falcons.
Oh yeah, I'm still rolling with
and
that.
Brody keeps asking me what's on the line, and
The case of Capri
I'm
Suns.
like, I don't know. Like I was like, I wear a wig into the studio, or you got to wear like Cowboys jerseys or something. So we'll have to figure that out.
I ain't wearing no stupid
Everybody
Cowboys
pitch
jersey.
in and get
No,
Brody
I'm not
an
doing
Eagles
that
jersey
either.
of his choice.
Why does he got to make out? That kid,
Wait, it's you and Brody.
Yeah,
on
I
this?
don't need
Smitty
anything.
and Brody said the Eagles will win.
And we all said they would lose.
Yeah,
Really?
that's
we
when you
did?
guys were all down.
that's
on the
recorded?
Eagles. Yeah,
believe
hell
so.
yeah.
That's on paper.
I bet on them to win though
Yeah.
in my parlay.
Oops.
Oh well.
All right, we'll figure that out.
Any college football bets? Anybody going this weekend?
It's going to be an exciting weekend.
I don't know. We'll look to the money man.
I
You
know,
got any college plays this weekend before we get out of here?
I was only looking at today, so I'm up already. I had Appalachian State first half.
Anybody betting on Appalachian State that's got
To beat
you need
Michigan.
that number?
Yeah.
800 gambler? Is that
I had North Carolina State first half. I couldn't get a chance to get the Tennessee in. I like Tennessee first half.
There's
so.
a couple good Saturday games. I know Georgia played or
Clemson, Georgia.
Clemson, Georgia.
Penn
So I'd like to
State-
get yours.
Penn
And
State,
then,
Wisconsin.
and then Penn State's getting 5.5, Nate, for Wisconsin. What do you think there?
Smash that Wisconsin.
Yeah, so
minus five.
like I
I
said,
don't
man,
think they'll get
I got
smashed.
plays coming out this weekend. If you guys are looking for some plays, man, just all I can say is just follow me on Money Pop Podcast.
tune in, right?
Tune in, YouTube, Instagram, all the above. Follow me.
Well,
and
I'm
you'll get the
I'm a
plays.
big college sports fan, so
I-
Hey, Jim.
I'll
I got-
be tuning in.
I got to do my question that I ask you every week is when we come back next week, are the Phillies in first place?
Oh, jeez.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
What's-
I'll go. Yeah,
what's
because
the
of their
schedule? What's the schedule
They're,
say?
they're in Miami this weekend.
Phillies are in Miami.
And then-
the Rockies.
Where's Atlanta?
Or Miami, then Milwaukee. So, ooh,
Philly, the
Where's
Atlanta's in
Atlanta?
Colorado right now.
Colorado.
They're up 1-0, by the
Colorado.
way.
Who is Colorado?
At Colorado.
No,
Braves are up 1.
Braves up 1-0.
I'm gonna go yes. I'm gonna go yes.
I'm gonna cop out and say it's a tie.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's a tie.
Come in here Thursday.
What do you
Come
got,
on,
D?
grow pair.
I got a pair. I'm
If you're
calling
gonna
it like
say-
I say it.
If you're
It's
gonna
a tie.
say that, then you can't say no now.
Yeah, I was going to say
All
yes
right, yeah,
anyway.
all right, good.
Oh, I thought you were going to say no.
All right. All right. Pat Sweeney said real quick Flyers. Sorry, Pat.
What,
We got no
Farabee?
Flyers talk.
He's
I
he's
do
a
wanna say-
big puckhead.
We'll get to the Flyers when hockey
They
season
make
comes
good
around.
moves. They make
One
good
thing I
moves.
did forget to promote. We are doing a suicide/survivor pool
Yep.
for the podcast. So keep an eye on our social. We'll post it out there, the website. 1 entry per person. We're going to get a bunch of Santa Boot First fans in. Typical survivor pool, right? You pick the winner each week. If your winner wins, you move on. If you lose, you're done. You can only pick one team a week. I'll post stuff on our social. Winners, we got prizes. We'll do a little autograph memorabilia, maybe some pops, maybe some Santa t-shirts. We'll figure it all out. I'll put the information out there. And next week we come in here. It's the start of the season.
Sounds
boys.
like we'll have a full house too.
It sounds like we'll have a full house. We got the Cowboys and the Bucks Thursday night football to kick off the
God,
season.
here we go.
How
We're gonna
dreadful
have-
is that going to be?
Yo, Nate,
Watch Brady get another one.
block out 3 hours, dude.
As long as you pay, and I'll be there. Bro.
We're gonna have Jordan Spector in here next week. AB promises will grace us with his presence.
It's on record.
It's on record. He's not listening, but I want to say thanks again to Marcus Grant.
Yes.
For you folks that are fantasy football fans. If you just tuned in late, go back to the beginning, listen to it. We had Marcus Grant on here. It was a good time. All right, boys. I think it was a good night.
Yeah.
We got
sure. Real good
football
night.
coming up. We got college football. Then we got the pros starting in a week.
Mhm.
Let's go. The season is here.
Mm.
We're ready to go. Thanks for
Mhm.
hanging with us on another episode of the Santa Boot First Podcast. Be excellent to each other.